there, Mr. Grin here. Hope you guys are having a good day. Now in this video I'm going to be going over some of my Minecraft skin making techniques. I'm not some professional Minecraft skin artists, but I do enjoy playing around with pixel art, and skin making is kind of a form of pixel art. And I hope through this video I'm able to show you how I go about things and how you may be able to use some of my techniques to create a cool skin for yourself or some of your friends. The first step in this process is to pick a colour palette. Now this doesn't have to be definitive for the design, but it's a good idea to have at least a rough idea of the colour of your overall design. I'm using Adobe Color, which allows you to extract a colour scheme from a reference image of your choosing. For example, the skin I'm making today is for my friend who's in the Navy, so I've got some colours from a 17th century Navy uniform. This is where I'll build the base of my colour scheme from. By the way, the software I'm using to create my skins is Planet Minecraft Skin Maker, which in my opinion is the best skin maker there is. It has plenty of useful tools that I'll be using throughout this video, and I highly recommend trying to learn it if you're interested in making some skins for yourself. Now that I have my colour palette sorted, I move on to the outlining phase of the design. This is basically where I take the colours from my palette and I use them to outline different areas of the skin. For example, the trousers, the shirt, the boots, and the face. This step is mainly about planning and getting a rough idea of where certain parts of the skin start and end, and there's not too much detail at this phase. A cool feature that was added a few years ago is that skins now have 2 layers to them, which is a godsend for skin designing as it allows for a lot more depth to a design. Before, all we had were hats, which meant we were quite limited when it came to anything below the neck, but now we're able to add a lot more detail than we were before. Here you can see I'm trying to outline stuff like the boots and adding a sort of baggy design to the trousers. It's worth mentioning that the kind of design I'm trying to create is a Navy-inspired Street Fighter-ish character, with baggy trousers that the UK Navy wear, along with a tap top with muscular features. As you may have noticed, I've switched to a lighter blue to help me distinguish the top layer from the one below it. I recommend using a separate contrasting colour when doing this phase, especially if it's for areas of the same colour. Now typically I like to work either from bottom to top or top to bottom when designing a skin, as this allows me to group areas together and makes the whole process a lot more organised. And as you can see, as I move up the torso of this design, I start to add these shoulder pads, which initially were going to be sort of like armour, but I decided to change them to these things I think are called epaulettes. They're the decorative shoulder pads you see on ceremonial military uniforms. Similar story with the hair. I initially tried imitating my friend's hair, but I eventually decided on this becoming a beret instead to better emphasise the military/naval themes. Following this, the next step is to add texture and details. The method I use for this is quite simple, although I may make it sound a little bit more complicated than it is. Basically, I take a colour from my palette, I darken it and I lighten it, and I create 2 new colours from these different shades, which I then lower the opacity on, which allows me to add darker or lighter areas on different light levels depending on how much I click. I can then use this to add muscle definition on the top as well as a texture to the shirt, and add ripples to the trousers to make them seem more loose and baggy. This step also allows me to make areas above the base layer lighter and the ones below it darker, without making the transition too drastic. I do a similar effect on the belts and the boots. However, instead of using colour, I use white with the same technique, which allows you to make a shiny rubber look. This can also be used to create a metallic texture, which I will do later on with the golden accents. At this point, I decided to revisit the shoulder pads, and I went through a couple of different designs until I was happy. An important part of the design process with anything really is reflecting on what you like and what works and what you think can change. And if you feel like you're too biased, ask a friend for an opinion, and they should give you some feedback that will help you with your design. An example of something that didn't work was when I tried adding a cape, which just didn't work, and it was quickly removed. The final element I decided to add to the composition of the skin was the beret, which went through a couple of iterations. I tried experimenting with the beret covering over one eye, but this didn't end up looking right, so I decided to go for a more traditional look. I also decided to add some texture to the skin and other areas at this point, as they had sort of been skipped over. I decided to show my friend, and after some minor tweaks to the eyes and the shirt colour, he and I were both satisfied with the design. Now I hope you've enjoyed this little video. I wouldn't exactly call this a perfect tutorial on how I make skins, but more of a how I go about creating them, and I hope that you've managed to gather a little bit of knowledge from my ramblings. Let me know, and if you ever end up creating some skins, why don't you show me by tagging me on Instagram or Twitter, both linked down in the description. I've also posted a link to the websites I used, as well as my Planet Minecraft Skins Index, which houses all my previous skins that I've designed for my friends. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to try to do a little bit more stuff like this in the future, and maybe some more varied design based content. Also hope you enjoyed the intro. I'll be releasing a video on how I designed that sometime soon. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you liked it, like it, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!